are
definitely.
recording, so make sure you don't say fuck or shit or anything like that.
Perfect.
Okay.
This one's your adjustment on the headphones. So.
Adjustment on the headphones. This is gonna fuck up my hair.
I know, that was the biggest thing. I was like, can we have pods or something?
I believe in you.
There are other headphones if you want to
I
try.
have to like plug in our bitty bits. Okay,
Yeah.
make it to where I can actually see you. All right, so season
Yeah,
2020.
Start
Oh.
recording. Actually, I'm gonna listen to yours real quick.
I think we're good. It seemed like everything was going through without the crackle. And
I didn't hear anything,
I put
so.
the other mic, he put a rubber band around it, so it's got the crackle.
Oh, good.
For those of you watching on YouTube, I hope you enjoyed what just happened.
Are we recording now?
I don't know. Are we recording now? Looks
Hang on.
like it. No, maybe.
No.
Hello, I'm the audio.
Yeah, now we're definitely recording.
Hello. All right, perfect. Season 2024, episode 2. Let's get to know Mr. Seth Jordan.
So this, I was driving into work today, awful traffic, so I had some time to think. And this could be like a 4-part, kind of hour-long each, stages of my career, where I've been. So this is just going to be the abridged version.
We like abridged versions
if
here.
Anybody has any questions?
If we ever do anything crazy, we can always go to the dark version where you'd have to pay for the extra episode that's like XX rated. Because I have a couple of those myself.
Yes, and I thought about that. A lot of those stories are stories that I like to tell to my clients when I tattoo them. So I apologize to any clients out there that have already heard this stuff, but
and these stories are great, y'all. One of the best parts about getting to know Seth is number one. When he was leaving where he was at, the thing that came across the most, and from people you worked with, is that like you're the biggest cheerleader in the room, which I totally believe.
Yeah.
And number 2, you have a sordid, crazy background from some of the the jobs you had before tattooing to tattooing, and then your stories along the way, and some of the celebrities you've had to meet along the way as well.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. As far as like jobs that I've had, I really just consider tattooing my like one true job. That's the one thing that I've been doing forever. I was trying to think. My coil machines my mentor gave me have 1999 engraved on them. So that's
wow.
That's when I started making money, was December 1999. So had an apprenticeship before that didn't really work out. The dude was pretty scummy. I got into that for about 6 months. I should say in Denver is where I got my start, in case anybody wanted to know, Colorado. He just wasn't a great guy. So I saw that and was kind of getting out of tattooing at that point. I was hesitant to get in because it was 98, 99, kind of a weird time for tattooing, I guess. It was a great time. Turns out it was like a renaissance period for tattooing, but I didn't realize that. So
I think until you're in the craft for a long time, there's lots of things you don't see.
Oh yeah.
When everybody's like, when you first get started and you think you know how to tattoo and you're looking at that piece, like a year from now, I promise y'all, it's going to be like, wow, that was not as good as it is today.
Yes. And even like from an artistic standpoint, right? We like that time period, it was neo-traditional, but probably not what a lot of people think neo-traditional is now. It evolves so much, but just bold lines, crazy high contrast color. Even in like 99, early 2000s, that was not we were kind of like figuring out how to do that,
Right.
I got out of that apprenticeship, and I had started, I was painting motorcycle tanks for a guy, doing a lot of pinstriping, a lot of gold leaf. That's what I did. I did that in high school even. I was pretty lucky that I was a horrible student, terrible academically, but some adults at the time saw some skill in me, and that was art. So they pushed me in that direction. So to graduate high school, I don't know if they still do this, but you can do like vocational stuff. So I went to a vocational school to get my high school credits, worked like 2 jobs. Anyway, I'm painting motorcycle tanks for a guy. I drop off some tanks. He is a tattooer as well. Owns a tattoo shop, and I thought about dropping some names. I'm not going to drop any names on this one. Maybe towards the end I will a little bit, but and then it's not dropping as in like braggadocious. I just people's past are people's past. So I'm sure you could connect the dots if you really dig deep enough. But So I drop off some tanks to this guy, and he tells me that he heard that I was going to quit my apprenticeship, and I didn't even know he knew I was apprenticing. And the abridged version is he said, absolutely not, I can't let you quit. He asked me why I was quitting. I told him my mentor was kind of a piece of crap, womanizer, kind of the type, like you go in there like female wants her arm tattooed, and I'm like, oh hey, take off your shirt, like that kind of scummy stuff, and I just didn't want a part of it. And my actual mentor, the guy I was dropping off those tanks to, was trying to change the entire tattooing world. He'd been tattooing since, I think like, I want to say 79.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was 2.
Yeah, right. So older guy for sure. But he saw where tattooing was going artistically, but also saw where tattooing needed to not be going from just, I guess, social aspect. It was way more social back then, I feel like, too.
I think so, because we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have Facebook, so it was word of mouth, period.
Yes.
And for somebody who was older to even have that thought, because I've had so many people. I started training in late 2009, and it was just like the pieces that were there. You still got some of that. I got tattooed by somebody once,
got some of that.
and like he just kept flicking his fingers so he could touch my chest, and I was sitting here going, "What is this?" And there are pieces of things that females definitely go through, because we came into the party a little later. Like there have been people who have been around for forever and they've killed it and they're slaying it, but at the same time, to have somebody who's already thinking. So forward thinking, this needs to shift. Let's make it more comfortable, because that's something we do here. Like I want everybody to feel like no matter who you are,
that's it.
You're comfortable in the chair.
Yeah. So his shop was a very MC oriented, motorcycle club. But I always joke that he was the type that could read anybody. So anybody was welcome in that shop. It was downtown Denver, and pretty eclectic back then. It was pretty progressive. There was all types of all walks of life coming in that door, and everybody felt welcome, which made me happy. It was like, I just want to hug the world, be positive. Even back then I was pretty angry, angsty young man, but I knew at the end of the day I needed positivity, right? Everybody just wants positivity. So that's what I always got that, even when I was dropping off all those parts. It was wild parties in the back alley kind of stuff, but at the end of it, everybody was welcome. They were pitching money at some of the homeless people that were around, really just kind of, it sounds silly, but giving back to the community. That was his, not even block, stretch of Colfax, I would say. And he took care of it. If you needed a hand up, he'd give you a hand up. It didn't matter who you were. And I really admired that about him. He was successful financially, and he gave back to his community. And that always kind of rang with me too, especially in this crazy world that we're in. Everybody's thinking big picture, and we can't lose sight of that, but you got to start small. If you start on your street, then it goes to your town, and then, it just grows from there. And that's exactly how he affected change. And that was also another great lesson that he taught me. So I did my apprenticeship through there. It was 2 years. We didn't have the pigskin or anything like that. I was, I guess, the shop manager, the shop cleaner. I did everything. Back then we were hand mixing pigments, making needles. We had to run an autoclave. I know a lot of newer tattooers, I'm sure they know what an autoclave is, but the thought of making tattoo needles, we made those. We'd order our pins from National and get pretty high in the back room soldering those things up. I'm sure all the old tattooers know what I'm talking about, but that flux is no joke.
Oh gosh.
And probably good that we went away from that, honestly. That was a huge moment of my career. I think it was 8 months of making tattoo needles, and my mentor came to me. I was in the back struggling, and he's like, wow, man, what are you doing? What are you doing back here? I was like, we need needles, I gotta make needles. He's like, these are $10 a box. Why the hell are you wasting your time making needles? I'm like, well, because you told me to. He said, I never told you to. I just told you how to make them.
Oh my gosh.
Like, quit wasting your time on this. You buy these, man. So.
Wow. I had to scrub in tubes.
Yep.
So I just had the scrub in tubes and autoclave. We bought our needles.
Yeah.
I never had to make them, though one of my mentors, because I've had 3, to get to where I was at, was talking about showing me how to make ink, which I think would have been a lot of fun. But at the same time, like, it's all the things you have to go through and the certification. He cut it with mouthwash.
Yeah, Listerine.
Oh, yep. So there you go. You're like, I'm in agreement, because water would mold. A lot of people made mistakes of like making their own ink, and they cut it with water, and then like people were getting infections. And I thought that was really interesting. Like, the little tidbits that didn't mean anything to me still gave me the education for moving forward of what that was going to be.
And of course we don't do it now, but I distinctly remember, like, my gray wash was always Listerine, and the yellow, not the blue, but I would assume you could use blue, it's all the same. But it was the yellow Listerine. I would cut mine with some witch hazel, and that was my gray wash. And Pelican drawing ink, which is crazy. It's been that long that I can say that, so I won't get in trouble. But that was standard back then.
I started off with Pelican myself.
Yeah. It's obviously not approved now, but it's just crazy how far we've gone. But at the same time, too, the due diligence of, I asked all the questions. Like, hey, this says right on it, not for tattooing. And my mentor was like, listen, we've been using this for years, 10, 20 plus years. We've gone through, like, we've certified this ourselves, basically, as much due diligence as you possibly could. So there was a bit of that too, I guess self-regulation in the industry, which was kind of nice, keeping people accountable. I've got some crazy stories about tattoo shops trying to open up on the block that my mentor didn't approve, that we forcefully, I guess, moved them out, but not really forcefully. I never put hands on anybody.
But you intimidated the fuck out of them?
There was definitely intimidation, and that is crazy that was even part of my history, I don't think that happens anymore, maybe, depending on the town. Denver was different back then. Colfax was a beautiful place for me. A lot of people would probably disagree, just kind of depending on the past that you had. I was I didn't have a seedy past then. I didn't have any drug problems or anything like that. That's
came later.
No, actually, I never did, which was nice. And that's, I think, what kept me so positive through all that. Because there was a lot of opportunity, of course. But I was just a hustler. I had to work. I was working 2 jobs. I'm on my own, young, and I'm just having to hustle and do everything I can to pay bills. And you skirt the line a little bit, but at the end of the day, I wanted to live, indefinitely, like we all do. I wasn't thinking short term, like, I could turn this, I could make that. I'm thinking, like, I'm gonna hustle now so I can have my career and build something, later in life. And that was another thing that my old mentor, he owned pawn shops, laundromat, a couple bars, so he was an entrepreneur even back then. It was kind of cool.
That's definitely wild. A lot of folks, when I started training, the first thing I always said was, I'm going to show you not just how to tattoo. Here's my accountant. Here's this.
Yep.
You need to be putting this money away. You need to be doing these things, and whether they choose to take that or not, it's something to be very, aware of, because when you're young, those first 10 years, your back's still decent, you're good to go, oh my gosh, yes, and then all of a sudden you're like, I have to be off for 2 months because my back went out. It's not fun, y'all, and if you don't have money set aside. Or COVID, we were off for about 2.5 months, and we still had to pay our rent. Here and at home.
It was wild. Mortgages don't stop.
Be
Bills
prepared,
don't stop.
kids. Be prepared.
As much as possible. I was prepared for COVID, but I think my clients really rallied behind me and commissioned a lot of work. That's a whole
another story. Sorry, new podcast, different day, different time, maybe 10-year anniversary if we're still here and y'all love us. So I had a pretty tragic event happen in that timeline, though, that almost got me out of tattooing. It was wild. It was right around 9/11, actually, and a coworker passed away from drug use, and it really it was so rampant. This kind of goes back to like that whole scene on Colfax, and I was just really trying not to be a part of that, and it pushed me out of tattooing for a minute, because I couldn't. I felt like we just weren't there still, I was just, that was my little section that I knew of what tattooing was. I hadn't started traveling with conventions or even like other guest spots. So after that happened, it was really just kind of a push out. I was one of those that actually opened a private studio. I did still tattoo
But that was really unheard of back then. People
Yes.
just didn't really do private studios. And I just, I didn't want to be part of a shop and lose another friend, if that makes sense.
Totally.
You know, it's, it was,
Spinning plates.
yeah, that's exactly what it was. Spinning plates.
Mm-hmm.
That's 100% what it felt like. 100%.
After the last podcast, Jessica was like, "Oh my God!" I said, "I know," and at the same time, like, I'm never gonna think about that Radiohead song the same again.
Right?
Like, damn it!
Oh, spinning plates. Yeah. That's what I was doing for a minute, a hot minute. Had some jobs like pre-press work. I was doing even tech support for a software company, but on the pre-press side of printing. All the while, I'm still like focusing my craft, like really honing what kind of the direction that I wanted to be in. I did have a crazy job. Some context is my father was a major in the Army, and a great guy. Definitely raised me to be ready for the world young, I'll say. I was going to enlist. He ripped up my enlistment papers, but I always felt kind of a need to serve my community in that capacity. But I knew it wasn't going to be the military. So that stint after my homie passed away, I just threw an application in for the State Patrol of Colorado, and I got in, of all things. And I'm not like,
first,
yeah,
folks.
it's crazy. So I made it. As a state trooper, I'm still tattooing the whole time. Obviously,
that is like an oxymoron to me, but at the same time, it's not.
Yeah,
but that's wild.
Yeah, there was a sergeant who actually owned a tattoo shop in right outside of Canyon City, who was with the State Patrol. I didn't tattoo there, but I was still doing my private stuff. But it was fun, but it definitely it didn't end the way I thought it would. I ended it on my terms. It's super hard to make those changes. So I have nothing but respect for all law enforcement doing the right job out there. It's tough, super tough. I don't know how you do it with everybody else above you telling you how to do it when they haven't done it in either years or never done it at all. So getting out of that though really lit that fire under me, and I was fully back to that. It's making those changes and those interactions with people in your community. Mm-hmm. That's really where I was affecting all of that changes. I could, as a trooper, right, I could pull over a car, get a bunch of drugs off the road. I did a lot of drug interdiction. That was like my, I guess that's what I wanted to do, and that's what they pushed me into. And I could do that. You could get some stuff off the road, whatever it is, but at the end of the day, I had more change with a face-to-face conversation with somebody in that community as I'm tattooing them.
I believe that.
You can really like get down to the nitty-gritty, and you can talk about things, and you can just kind of get a feel for kind of where things are. I'm blessed in my career now that I've got a lot of clients that travel in to see me, so I get to see like the big kind of overall picture of kind of what things, how things are popping off all over, right? I still have a ton of clients back in Colorado. I have a bunch of clients in California. Another part of this journey is I tattooed in the Virgin Islands. I'll get to that, but I have a ton of clients in the Caribbean still, and it's crazy to see their perspective on what's happening now, just based on where they're at.
Right.
And I will say that most people they're all on the same page of we just want to be happy and smile. So that's good, right?
It's definitely good. I think that's what. I mean, one thing we push in here, yes, the world is in a crappy place. We've got another political year coming up, and I think that...
And that's always tough for everybody. I don't care what side you're on. I truly don't. As long as you're like a positive person, I'm going to hear you out. But yeah, it's going to be tough for one
a lot of things.
Like one side, right? We can't all win. So
I hope that we get the right side in there, no matter what that is. Like, right. I agree, because there's a lot of things that are going scary right now, guys. I'm gay. And that's a part that's just, it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
They've already pulled rights of women, and not to make this political, so we're going to jump right back into your story, but start voting on a local level.
Yes.
You're talking about change. Change happens within your city first.
Yep.
Look at the folks who are actually aligned with your views.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Back to your story.
But that it really is the story, my story is a continuation of just who I am as a person. So a little bit of State Patrol, crazy story getting out of that. That is something I don't like to share super publicly. It's nothing terrible. It's not scandalous or anything like that. It's just it's kind of hard to tell sometimes.
He wasn't caught naked running around in
No,
the
no, it was nothing like that. In fact, I had open offers to come back, and I like I said, I left on my terms. So we'll leave it at that. So yeah, fully back into tattooing. A lot of things that happened with that is getting out, or more getting into tattooing full time, you know, with family. I had a young son at the time. My ex-wife, she was my wife at the time, but then obviously was an ex-wife. A lot of that was probably trauma through state patrol or just growing apart, you know. So that was crazy. Trying to go through that, everybody can kind of understand. Even any kind of breakup, any kind of life change, right, is difficult sometimes. So that happened. Through that, I fell in love with my wife now, Susie, who really was the biggest supporter and the catalyst for pretty much what I've been able to accomplish artistically and personally. So I'm very thankful for Susie, for sure. She's been like my rock forever, honestly. I mean,
and she didn't pay him to say this, y'all. I've watched Seth for the past couple of years, and his family is his number one, and I think that's really amazing. Every thought that you've done, and even in you getting here, that conversation. Seth was hired before he even got here, just surely for the fact that he's like, I'm going to be coming to meet you, but if I can't bring my wife and my kid, I'm not going to be able to meet you. And I was sitting at that moment going, if you care that much about your family, you're hired. I didn't tell him that.
Yeah.
I waited till I met him, but I already knew.
And likewise, though, the reception of, I can't remember exactly what you said, but it was...
Family's always welcome here.
Yeah, it was very positive. And I haven't had tattoo shops where my family wasn't welcome. But going into this next chapter, you know, us moving out here was really important that they were part of it. For context of that, Susie and I are together. We find out that we're gonna have a daughter, my daughter Haley. So I have two sons. I like to say I've got two. One is a stepson of mine, but he's been in my life forever. So I've got two kids, two boys, that are basically twins. They're just like a month apart, and it's awesome. Super proud of them. And then we find out that Haley is going to be joining our family, and it was crazy.
So not planned at all.
Not
trying not to.
Yeah,
if it happens, cool. Oh shit, it did.
Yeah.
Haley, we love you.
Yes. Pretty much that scenario. You know, young love. Yeah. So it was through that we really. I don't think we talked about it necessarily until it was, I feel like it was maybe 6 months after she was born, but it was always, I know that Susie was thinking about it and I was, and it was, we are going to have to just focus on tattooing. Susie had a great career. She was a career woman, I'd say, really great at her job, but she wanted to see me succeed, see us succeed as a family, and basically said, yeah, I think it's time to like make this a full-time gig.
I think we both have wives that have sacrificed a lot for us to live the dream.
So much.
I've been thinking about that a lot lately, just because of everything that's happened and everything that I've ran towards. Because you know, my gauntlet is way far out there and way high, from literary to this job to I've got another idea to a podcast. And Jessica's always been like, go get it, honey. You got it. You got it. You know, don't stress those parts and everything else. And I think that's been something that's huge, because your wife has done the same.
What's up, Anil?
If y'all just wondered what happened, Anil came in.
Hey!
He's next. He is up next. He will be episode 3, so y'all stay tuned. That's Anil right there if you're watching. I can't wait for y'all to hear his story and how all that came about. But back to the sacrificing of our wives.
Yes. Yeah, they really have our biggest cheerleaders, right? It's I just don't know where I'd be.
Me neither.
It's hard to even fathom, to think about. You know?
Everybody shifts who you are as a person and your direction and things. And a big part of the way that I do things, my fairness factor, like I strive really hard to make sure that most of the group is going to be happy with decisions and talking to you all.
A democracy.
And a lot of that is through Jessica prompting things at home.
Yes.
What if this? What if that? Have you thought about this person? and learning that along the way.
Yeah.
And then also your wife staying home to take care of the kids, allowing you to get out there and run for the gauntlet. You know, there's just so many things to that. Like, you know, Jessica's the job she's at now has amazing insurance, and she's a woodworker on the side. I know she'd love to be a full-time woodworker, and we're you know, figuring that stuff out. But it's like the sacrifices of just seeing, I know my person has a dream.
Yeah.
And I'm going to support them until they hit it. It still amazes me. And your wife is definitely that person.
Oh, for sure.
You know, getting to know y'all across the board with that and seeing those things. Because even in the beginning, I was like, y'all two have a lot in common. Sorry, guys. We love you.
So I'll say, like, that was, I mean, I've had so many points in my relationship with Susie where I've just, like, fell in love even harder. Like, it's crazy that you, even like a little thing, but the biggest thing is she's taking care of our 3 kids, and she's taking care of the tattoo shop. Like, she was my Katie for years of my life. She ran my books, she ran our like scheduling books and like accounting books. She helped me take care of the shop. Like, she's Wonder Woman, basically. I'm so thankful. And I think my switch actually moving out here was that little bit of like slowing down a bit so that I can help her now achieve whatever it is she wants to do. Like, she, at this stage, it's whatever she wants. Right. I'm like way supportive of it. You know, I don't care what it is. You know, Haley's almost 16, so she's kind of getting out there in the world, and it's really kind of beautiful that I'm able to like refocus all the energy she's put into me. Now I'm finally able to give some of that energy back to her, and it's great that we have like a lifetime left that I can hopefully fill her cup a little bit, you know. So
he's also got a great kid, y'all.
Yeah,
the few conversations that we've had, I took her home.
The boys are too. You
just
you haven't. Yeah, I know you have not got to.
Isn't that crazy? You entirely.
I'm really, really protective of my time. I guess I don't get enough time with my boys, so I like when they come out here. It is like go go go. Even if we're just sitting on the couch, I just like all the time I can get. Is it? You know, they're college, trade school. I'm chopped liver, so you know.
Well, it looks like you've done a great job in raising the sheer fact that they're going to travel this far to see both of y'all. But at the same time, like I was saying, I've had an opportunity to start, building a relationship with Haley, and some of the conversations we've had, I feel like she's light years from being a teenager. Like, she's got more of a,
That's her mama.
Yeah, right. I believe you. But yeah, it's amazing to see the parenting and like the family thing, and getting back to that piece. Like, it's such. This is what drives you, and I know it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of why you treat your clients the way you do. You're such a cheerleader for people. You've had that at home.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing to carry over and be like, I want to share this with the world. I have never seen, I haven't seen him get upset. I have heard about his road rage from his kid. But
yeah, I definitely have some of that. This morning, I actually didn't. I was listening to a playlist on my Spotify. I had forgotten. And this is another part of the journey, but one of the shop that I left to come here, Elysium, we created a playlist, and I found it. I totally forgot that we made the Elysium Nasty Jams playlist. It is ridiculous. It is so crazy. Everybody's different style of that playlist.
I'm gonna have to hear this.
So I thought about it. I definitely am gonna share it. Okay. But we need to do one for Mainline
No
too.
Kidding.
It's awesome.
But with that being said, I don't know if it'd be called Nasty Jams. So that makes me go, what the hell would be on Mainline's playlist? Because you got some like. I'm just saying.
And we can share it though, right? I don't know how Spotify works, but we can add all of us.
Well, yeah, you put on the thing, and then you do the thing, and then you tell everybody where the thing's at.
Yeah, just, hey, listen to...
I can't wait to hear the name.
Craziness.
Okay. Oh my God. Back to your story, sir.
Yeah, all right. So we're just living our best lives, really trying to grind. We got our tattoo shop up and running. We're actually making... I don't know if making money is the right word, but we're paying bills. Mm-hmm. And... I just get this crazy feeling that we got to go somewhere else. Like, Colorado ain't it, and the United States isn't it. So we got to go somewhere.
Gotta go. See you when it's
Yeah, we got to go. And I'm looking everywhere. I almost bought a shop in Roatan.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm glad it didn't work out, but I'm happy with how everything did work out. The visa process is difficult. It was difficult even back then, trying to get a visa for a different country. especially like a work visa, owning a shop, even just working there it's kind of difficult for a tattooer. It's still kind of, I don't know, people don't really, like they see tattooer and they're like, oh, you know, you must be scummy or whatever.
Yep.
So it's usually a no. So my crazy smart wife is like, why don't we just go to St. Thomas? I was like, I don't know. I don't want to deal with visas. And she's like, it's a U.S. territory. You just need a smile
bye-bye.
and a driver's license. So yeah, that's basically what happened. We found a shop out there, Jimmy Buffum's, and met the owner who sadly has passed away, but really great guy, an amazing guy. And he had 2 sons, Jason and Matt. And I was taking Jason's job basically because he was moving, I can't remember where, somewhere in Europe where his wife is from.
Wow.
Yeah, I wish I could remember, but I can't. Anyway, so it was just Matt and I for a minute. Cody was our piercer, super cool dude. I think he's back in Vegas. And yeah, Matt and I had, it was a good relationship at first, and it was just, it was super tough on island because I was new. I didn't really have a foothold on anything. Like you said, family's everything to me. And I mean, we were struggling doing like $30 names out there. And it was tough. It was tough, but that was our dream. Susie really wanted to go to the Caribbean as well. I thought it was a great place for our young kids to be in that moment. So we were pretty committed to making it work. You know, Spam sandwiches, bologna sandwiches. Like, I don't think I'd ever been that poor financially, but that rich in happiness and love, to be honest with you. And it was 6 months. It was tough. But if you put it out there, the world gives it back. And I met David doing beach wrestling. Jiu-jitsu and wrestling has always been like a big part of like how I even got into tattooing. That's how I met or got introduced to my first mentor, who wasn't great, but the guy who introduced me was a super great guy. Anyway, so I'm trying to blow off some steam. I heard that these guys and girls go to the Ritz-Carlton and wrestle on the beach. And I thought, it's been a minute, maybe I just need to blow off some steam. And I meet David, and David's like, hey, I own the tattoo shop down the road. I'm really looking to kind of step back a little bit. Any interest? And of course I had interest. I wasn't making enough money to survive at Buffum's, and it was there was a lot of like political, not even political, it was just like there just wasn't enough at the time. And I ended that relationship at Buffum's in, I don't want to say a bad way, but it was just really cut off. And it always bothered me. And the only reason I'm saying that is it comes full circle, and I'll get to that part. So I always had guilt on how I ended things there. Because James opened it up to me, and it was great. And Matt honestly was a fantastic person. It was just, I had to provide for my family, and it was hard. It was so hard. I think it was the social circles that David was able to plug me into that Matt wasn't.
Right.
That was the only difference. So David opens up a shop, and I start crushing it. Really, really crushing it. I think it was 2 days into it, he hands me the keys and tells me, shop's basically yours, make some money, don't make me be a effing boss. I mean, that's exactly his words. And
how long were you there?
It was like 2.5, 3 years. Yeah, just making tons of money, super happy. Everybody, it was great. It was wonderful. We would not have left, but the kids started getting older, and the school system out there is either it's not great or it's very expensive. And it just felt like St. Thomas is such a beautiful place with their culture. I felt like if I wasn't willing to put my kids into the not great school, I was gentrifying by putting them in the, I can pay for
this
school. And it just didn't, it felt icky to me, you know? I don't have any problems with people who choose those paths. That was just Susie and I's. And it was hard, you know, a deep dive, but I just wanted to make sure that we had all the opportunities that we could. So we moved back to Colorado, but we didn't want to go to Denver because that's where Susie had spent a bunch of time. Yeah. That's where I spent a bunch of my time. I'm like all over Denver, Lakewood, like the whole Front Range. I'm like, we're just kind of done with it. And we fly into Denver, and I reached out to a shop in Junction, Raw Canvas. Justin Ordine owned it. I'd been following his work forever, and it's beautiful watercolor work.
Yeah, amazing work. Holy cow.
And I reached out and I said, hey, we're going to be bouncing. I'd love to do a guest spot, maybe even move out there. It was almost the exact scenario that I had with you, where I knew I was going to move, but I didn't want to commit to a move. You know, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. And we got out there, and Susie was a little hesitant. She never did like Grand Junction as a town. It's the desert, the high desert of Colorado. So there is beauty there, but if you're not a desert person, it's tough. It's cold or it's hot. There's no in between. But the shop was incredible. Justin welcomed my whole family with open arms out there. So we moved to Junction. Worked there, met Arlo, and Arlo left to do a little sabbatical, just kind of wanted to find himself, went to Europe for a minute, and when he came back, he was going to open up a private studio. So I was a big supporter of that. Like, of course, you should do a private studio at that time. I was still very firmly planted at the Raw Canvas. And Arlo, he'd always make little digs here and there, like, hey man, you should come over here. I was like, no, I'm happy, you know, I'm happy where I'm at. And our friendship developed, Arlo and I's friendship developed, and I really thought of him as not like a mentor apprentice, but I saw all the potential of his, and I just knew that he needed like that much focus and direction.
Hey guys, I don't know if y'all hear or not, but yet again, the second episode, that was a fire truck.
So that's how my brain sounded when Arlo's asking me, but I'm looking at his work and it's like, gosh, we can definitely like get there for sure. So he asked me as a friend if I would help him open up more publicly. So I did. There was another key player in that, Tesla, who was our shop manager there. We're homies still to this day, who was very open as well. She was the one that was like, honestly put it all together.
She seemed heartbroken when you were leaving.
Oh, yeah.
That was the one I kept noticing. Like, she just kept writing these and y'all are getting a good one. You better take care of him. And I'm like, we will.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get her out here, actually. But she does some laser work now. So it could be cool. I don't know.
That'd be awesome.
Maybe. I doubt she'll come out here. But she's a California girl, I think. But so I'm helping everything get popping off there. And it blew up. That was the first time I had... I've had shops before. I've owned them personally. I've ran them where it felt like I was owning them, like in St. Thomas. And at Arlo's place, when he named it Elysium, that was the first time I felt like I didn't have any like financial responsibility of the shop, but I had a good opportunity to build like the dream team, basically.
Right.
So it was great just being able to work with him, kind of curate your best possible artist and team out there. And at one point, like it was, I say it's like kind of the pinnacle of my career of as far as like the talent that we had in that shop that we were able to amass without any egos.
That's a
was
big one.
Insane.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, we had Arlo. Arlo met Ryan Ashley, I think in Vegas. So they got married. I didn't even know who Ryan was. I didn't watch a bunch of TV. There's a Blake Shelton story there somewhere. But, so
next time on episode.
So like I knew of her, but I didn't know like how famous. So she comes in, just a sweetheart, and I'm like, wow, she's obviously an amazing tattooer.
Yeah.
And then my clients are like, holy cow, you work with this girl? I was like, yeah.
I don't know what's happening in downtown Chattanooga right now, but they agree with you.
Yes. So yeah, we had Arlo, Ryan was there, this crazy dude, Dimitri Vision is insane, like one of the craziest artists I've ever seen. We called him Detroit, not really sure why, maybe because he was living there for a minute, because he's from Florida, but Jacob Sheffield, insane, like I've got a piece from him, just a rad human being. Paul Lunetta, we just had these crazy groups. I'm like trying to go through, like Autumn Hudson was there. She's incredible as well. And Autumn brought another Jake over who is close to us actually. And it's just insane. Like the talent that was in there, and that there was no no issues, I guess. Like it wasn't dramatic.
It's very difficult in the shop.
It is. And then, things evolve and they change. And then, it's weird how one person can just like absolutely change the dynamic of a tattoo shop. And that one person could be the same one who's been there, but they just go through some changes. So that's, I guess, what was happening at Elysium. Arlo had bought a church and wanted to make a tattoo shop into a church. And I'm his biggest cheerleader, right? Like anybody's in my life. I'm just like, I'm going to cheerlead this. We're going to make it happen. And it was, for me personally, some of the hardest times to watch my friends struggle, trying to achieve their goals and just getting beat up at every corner, making not bad decisions, but just like having the input of other people's influences. Yeah. And it was eye-opening for me, for sure. And he did get his dream. The church is beautiful. It's insane, like absolutely insane what he accomplished with that. What they accomplished, Ryan and Arlo both. But yeah, so that's kind of the like abridged version of it. Denver, St. Thomas, Grand Junction, and then of course,
which
now
leads
I'm here,
us to Chattanooga,
right?
And I'm gonna jump in with a little bit of your story. So about 7 months before we actually talked about Seth coming here for real, I get this message, and it was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about moving with my family. I've got all these different places. I'm thinking about buying a shop or owning a shop somewhere.
Yep.
Chattanooga's on my list. Can I come guest spot with you?" And we deep dived in your Facebook and your Instagram, and it was always so positive. And I was like, "Okay, cool." And I reached back out and I was like, "Yeah, let me know when you're coming." Fast forward. 6 months later, I think we talked a little bit on and off. It wasn't like, a for sure thing or anything like that. And one of my artists on a Monday said she was moving and she'd be gone within the next 3 to 5 months. And I was like, "Oh man, this is sad, but I get it." Well, the next day I get a message from Seth. It was either that night or the next day. I shit you not, because I remember even saying, "Seth, you're not going to believe this." But he goes, "I don't want to own a shop anymore. I just want to work somewhere. Can I come out and guest spot and see if it's a good fit?" And I was like, he goes, "Are you hiring?" And I was like, "Well, you're not going to believe this. Yesterday we weren't. Today we are." And so that was something that just, I kind of talked about it last time when I was talking about apprentices and stuff. I'm really weird when things that are no that turn into yeses, or things that just kind of witchy. They just happen at the right time. And you even came out and you were like, "It looks like I'm not going to be able to make it to this time, so I understand if you want to hire somebody else." I said, "No, the job's been yours."
Yeah.
And waiting on that, because I knew that, and that was just a big piece of how funny it is. And then after meeting you and your wife and your kid, when we were having burgers next door, it was seamless.
It was.
The conversation was happening. I think both of us felt this is it, and it wasn't even okay, you have the job. It was like, when are you going to get here?
Yeah, and it really was. That's how I felt too. It was sad leaving one chapter, but I was very excited for the next. The prompt to the move out here was the school situation in Junction. It's not bad necessarily, but my daughter was getting ready to go into high school, and I just wanted a better high school. She went to a Waldorf school, and I just feel like there are educational opportunities for everybody out there, all different types of learning. And she was good up through 8th grade or 9th grade, and then once you got, I guess it would be 9th grade. Once you get into high school, there just wasn't a good learning type of school for her.
Right.
Out here in Tennessee, they're called magnet schools. They're charter schools. Back in Colorado, they're free. You just have to apply for them. So that was a big reason why we're thinking of moving. Is obviously Susie, my poor wife, was tired of the desert. So it was that turning point for me of like, she has done everything, made all the sacrifices for me in my career so that I can support the family, of course, but she was the one really making all the sacrifices. So this move was, I want to do something for you, like, you need to be on the water on your paddleboard, soaking up all the sun. We need to get you to some water. The Caribbean wasn't it, so we had to start looking other places, which is this is a fun story of how I got here, actually. It was going to be Charleston, South Carolina. That was like the place she was most interested in. I love food, so that's a no-brainer for me. I reach out to Gilded Mermaid because that was the shop in Charleston.
Shout out to them. We love you all.
Yes. I reach out to them saying like, "Hey, same deal, right? I want to potentially move out there. Are you offering any guest spots?" A low round tells me yes, absolutely. And it might have been his wife, actually. I don't know who
Julie,
runs their Instagram.
Yeah.
I think it was
both
Julie.
Of them
but
are in there
yeah.
at different times. Wonderful people, y'all. I've guest spotted there a couple times, and
insane.
they've come to Literary. And their shop, after the first day I was there, I was literally like, it feels like I'm at home. And they said that was the biggest compliment. And I completely agree. If anybody ever guest spots with you and they feel that good.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. Sorry, jump back into you.
Yeah. So I reached out about the guest spot. He's like, of course, you're always welcome. And then I think it was the next day, I was like, actually, we're really looking to move. Is there going to be a hiring opportunity? He said, Seth, I'm sorry, there's not. But you should definitely check out Chattanooga. And I was like, all right. I knew DJ was out here. He owns a shop, Wolf and Witch, I believe, is his shop now. I thought, all right, well, I have it in there. And he's like, check out Jennifer Edge. She owns Mainline. And I said, okay. So he is actually the biggest reason why I even reached out to you in the first place.
Thank you, Little Round and Julie, and you were always meant to be ours.
Yes, exactly. and I feel the same way. I truly do. And oddly enough, Gracie had ties to Gilded Mermaid.
Yeah, that's where she came from. That's how I found her.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
And the guy who replaced me at Elysium when I left, Garrett, he goes by Coot on Instagram. Never met him, but he seems like a super rad guy. And actually, he is technically my neighbor because I own a piece of property in Colorado, and he's like right next to. I think he's in Rollinsville, and I'm like my property's in Blackhawk. So anyway, he worked there too. So there's some weird mojo happening over at Gilded Mermaid.
Charleston is amazing. It's a dream. Jessica's best friend lives there, and because of Literary, because Betsy Butler,
yes.
Shout out to Betsy Butler, love you to death, came to Literary, bought Gracie as her helper, met Gracie there. There's a photo of me, Danny, Gracie, and Betsy Butler that is like one of the best photos from year one. And then I ended up doing a guest spot down there because we went to go see Jessica's best friend, Lala, who lives down there. And I was tattooing Gracie, and she was telling me about her journey. She'd trained for a year, and they weren't going to sign her off. And I'm sitting there tattooing her, and I was like, Danny and I had already talked about hiring somebody, but we were going to hire a full-on artist. But I was sitting there going, oh God, this is, oh shit, okay. And then that's when I was like, Danny, we got to FaceTime. And Gracie came up here because of that and put her time in, and now she's up in New York living her best life.
Yeah, it's crazy how interconnected tattooing is.
You have always stated, and y'all, I mean this from the beginning, you attract what you're trying to do. You attract who you are. And I believe that in this shop especially. I feel like everybody's been drawn to and from Mainline at the time they're supposed to be. And I will die on this bed of saying that this has been one of the wildest teams, but I also feel like everybody came into this looking for the same dream, or we're all sharing a dream together with certain things. And just the like-mindedness and the support alone.
It's the support.
You get this shop. Yeah, it's
that
insane.
Was when I said the pinnacle at like at what point at Elysium, this team has the same vibe of it's just all support, it's positivity. We're pushing each other to get the very best we can. Our critiques. We had a critique. Some were a little nervous, and afterwards they're like, "Oh, it's amazing!
Can't wait
it's
to do
positive!
it again.
Can't wait to do it again!" And that's what you need behind you for sure. Any tattoo shop, and it's just silly to me that we have such fragile egos as artists, because we really just need to be pushing it as hard as we can. Our clients are everything. That is like, we are nothing without them. So why wouldn't you want to like push and be the very best you can? And that's. When I guest spotted here, it was that, everybody was really, really pushing hard, and that's, it was amazing, really, really amazing, just to see. And it's, even today, everybody I'm working with, the folks around me, it just, pushes me.
I think uplifting somebody, I mean, you can bring somebody down, and I've said since like I got started tattooing late. I've already discussed that. The thing is, like, you put the word tattoo in front of artist, everybody's like, it's my town. Yeah. There are so many people, and the other thing is, if you're doing what you're talking about, which is curating your craft to be the best you can be, you're going to get the clients that you're looking for, and being kind. And I've had so many people, since I've apprenticed. Like I said, I don't want to feel like an apprentice factory, and I always say that, but they're just amazing artists, and they're amazing people. And along the way, I've had several people who've written in town or sometimes far away, hey, can you finish my apprenticeship? Can you do this? And it just, if it doesn't feel right, I'm like, I really wish the best on your journey. Here's some advice on how you need to get where you go. But the four that were in here, literally, it was for a reason. It's the same how, like I said, I felt like you were drawn here after we started talking. I was literally like, I just got that feeling again.
Yep.
And then it was funny, y'all, when I was so I'd told Seth, we're not hiring anybody else. Everything's done. I'm done apprenticing. And Morgan comes along, and I called him, and I was like, hey man, I want you to know you have a say in this. And he's like, well, I back you with whatever decision you're making. It seems like you've done it really real already. And I know that you've also, Seth will tell you he is not ever going to apprentice. But at the same time, I was out for about 6 weeks to 2 months in 2022. Yeah, 2022, I think.
Time's relative.
Yeah, no, right? And it was probably Morgan's last 4 months of apprenticing. And just to see even, because the whole shop all comes together for our apprentices. I feel like that's always been a thing. But I can tell the difference when there's something she'll say, and I'm like, she learned that from him.
Yeah.
And I know that that's a huge thing. And it's not just the apprentices that you push. And Morgan is totally signed off now, so let's make sure that's clear.
Definitely
but
not an apprentice.
Everybody has been signed off. But when I say this,
everybody?
Oh. Brittany! Yeah, we'll tell y'all that story the day that she gets to do her interview, because hell yeah, that's so.
She's totally.
Oh my
not
God,
an
that's so awesome. She's gonna hate this
swear,
shit or love it. I think she's actually our #1 fan.
I think so.
Have you seen how often she'll post? Well, I know I have to listen to them talk all during the day, but I still like their podcast. Shout out to Brittany. See you later.
Oh my gosh, right? Maybe.
I know, right? But yeah, I think that's the thing, because I feel like it's just a big old form of, adults at Chuck E. Cheese in here.
That's it.
It's just, and we have had hard times. There have been so much that our families have gone through. I'm not even going to get into all the things, but there has been so much that each of us in here have had major struggles with the past 2 years, and everybody's just been like, I'm here for you.
Yep.
It's insane, like the love that you feel, and the whole, it's not a job, it's a lifestyle, is very true. And straight up, you work in different places. I've been in an office environment, I've been in restaurants, I have done so many jobs. This one though was the plug. And what I mean by that is you are so close to who you are next to. And talking about having the wrong person, whether it's they've been here for forever and they've shifted, or you've got somebody new and you're like 2 weeks later, this is not working. Being honest about that is huge.
It is. It's very huge. And you have to be able to...
And Neil, can you let Amy in?
I think Neil's plugged in.
Okay. Pause, Brett. You don't have to worry about this. 1 second, y'all. This is what happens when you record in the shop live.
Yep. And I think we are going to continue to do it this way because, I just feel like it's raw and real. That's it. That's just how it has to be. I think a controlled podcast like this, it's probably better for Brett. But I think as far as us, it's just a volley.
This is definitely how we are as people. So I'm fine with leaving everything in, which on YouTube you're going to get the everything. And I don't even think he takes anything out. He bleeps our cuss words.
He does.
Fuck.
But now you're... I don't think you can bleep, maybe?
No, I'm not bleeping it on YouTube. You get the full-on run. I'm like, YouTube, I'm not changing anything. I'm just putting it up, and I'll post that once everything's done.
Yeah.
But what a wild ride, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't even know how to really quantify or explain everything that I've been through. I mean, and I thought about that too. A client asked me the other day, he's been tattooed by me a bunch. He's like, every time we talk, it's like you got a different story.
Yeah, you
do. I have tons of stories, and the people that I've worked with also have tons of stories that become stories that I can tell on their behalf. And then clients have wild stories too. So it's, I think if I ever get enough time to actually slow down, I writing a book, just a tattoo story book would be crazy.
I've already got the name of mine too.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I can't wait.
I don't know. Maybe the podcast is the right way. I mean, I have enough. I could probably fill a whole year's worth of podcasts with just stories that I've heard, that I've lived. and crazy ones, you know. So I don't know. Maybe that's another fun direction that this could go, right? Because I know you also have them.
Yes.
So.
And oh my God. Anyway, I think that one day we'll have a blooper reel, and one day there may be like you literally have to subscribe to get these behind the scenes, whatever the heck's happening, because you just don't know. And I think that's part of it too. You know, I got into this job to create the least amount of responsibility I could ever have. And I jokingly now say that is the opposite of what I have. I help run a convention, which y'all help assist in making happen. I feel so responsible, even though we're independent contractors. And I know that sounds weird, but I feel responsible for y'all. I want to make sure that you're taken care of. I want to make sure that if something ever were to happen to me, the will is staged, that nothing's going to change with Mainline for those people who still want to stay here. You know, there's pieces of those things that I want to make sure that my folks are taken care of, because I think people miss that. Not just the clientele, but your clients, or not just the clientele or clients, but you know, your coworkers, it just means a lot. Like this is a big version of my family. Like we went out to all have breakfast last week for Christmas because I was sick during Christmas. I was recovering from the surgeries, and so everybody waited, and you know, those things just. This is the first time I've felt that in this environment. And I'm not saying that I haven't had amazing moments and things through the people that I have worked with. It's just right now, this is the particular, when you were like making the dream team, this is the dream team for me. And one day when we're ready to hire again, that's going to be a huge thing, because I know that the whole shop's either going to have to be like, somebody's just guest spotted with us for 4 times and we're like, that's the one. Because I don't want to mess with this flow in any way.
And that I've been lucky. Every shop I've been to has been that way. Even back at Elysium, when we hired, you know, my homie Colton, he was like the perfect fit there. You know, he's like just filled the perfect, like just fit. Dude, Adam out there. Crushed it. Just was like a really good fit, and it's nice when it doesn't ever just get weird, I guess. You know, that's it's something that you can't really explain, and I guess, like you said, you get what you put out, and I've always just put out positivity. So everywhere I've been, it's just been a really good spin on things. You know, and so I haven't, you know, I've had my adversity in tattooing, of course, but for the most part, it's like 95% positive, you know, and it's only going to get more the longer I tattoo, because every year goes by. I mean, it's been super positive for like 15 years,
which
you
is
know.
Insane. Oh, that was one of the questions we got. Somebody asked, how long have you been tattooing?
Yeah, 1999 in December was my tattoo. Like, I'm making money. My mentor handed me my Mickey Sharp's coil machines. I'm sure not a lot of, I don't know, I'm sure some tattooers definitely have an idea of that. A fun fact about those coils, I resprung the liner because I did want it to be a little more zippy, but I still have the original back springs on on the shader. They're T-dials too, but crazy. Those machines just hum. Julia actually tattooed my leg.
I've got photos. I've got photos.
Yeah.
We'll drop them when we drop
those were my apprentice machines, my money makers. I still have them, obviously, but been a hot minute tattooing. It's so long that I kind of forget. I also do want to go back to an apprentice type of question, I would assume. Maybe. I feel like I always have to bring it up because I have gotten some, not necessarily hate, but they're like, man, what's your deal against apprentices? I don't have any problems against apprenticeships. I just am somebody who, I can't think of like how I'm going to sit somebody down who's never touched a tattoo machine before in their life and tell them how that works. Morgan's situation was so good because she already had like...
Yeah, she was like 8 months in.
Yeah, she was like, the training wheels were off. Is probably the easiest way I know how to say that. So you can drop those like little bits of knowledge. I don't understand how to put it into words, but I can just be like, hey, do this, and she'll understand, oh yeah, I can do it that way, you know, or whatever it is. So
I bet we were just speaking of Morgan. We're speaking of Morgan, and she's coming in the door.
She's coming in.
Yeah,
I just manifested that.
I know, it was true. So soon we'll also get Morgan's interview. We're really excited. One thing we wanted to do with all of this is introduce you to the team. And also we realized that when Seth and I actually sit down, we're enjoying what's happening. And you're still going to get interviews from literary. You're still going to get interviews from folks that are guest spotting with us. I think, we kept talking for the first year. We're trying to figure it out. And I feel as though after everything happened last year, from that first episode we recorded a few weeks ago, it's like we now know what it is that we're doing. Okay, not that what we're doing. I think we found our element of
we found
our guidelines.
Yes, yeah,
our guidelines of what we think this is going to be, and we appreciate all of y'all listening. And that was Seth's story, or at least a part of it. And trust me, the stories that he's not telling today are way worth it. And you're going to get those if you're in the chair.
For sure.
You'll get those if you're in the chair.
Yeah.
Make sure you ask about Blake Shelton.
Or not.
Dun, 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 dun. Have a good one, guys. See you next time.